Hello everyone, and thank you for attending today's webinar, Pioneering in 5G SA Core, Learnings from China's Developments, sponsored by ZTE. Before we begin, I wanted to cover a few housekeeping items. On the left-hand side of your screen is the Q&A. If you have any questions during the webcast, you can type your question into the Q&A box and submit your questions to our speakers.
I'd like to share with you our 5G standalone solution. 5G is super powerful. It enhances mobile broadband experience to peak data rate of 1 GB.
If you have any technical difficulties, please click on the yellow Help widget. Here you can find answers to common questions. A copy of today's slide deck is available for download in the green Resource List widget. We'll be playing a video shortly, so please ensure that your flash player is enabled. Towards the end of today's presentation, we'll ask you for your feedback. A survey will pop open on your screen and will only take 1 minute to complete. Your feedback is extremely helpful. An on-demand version of the webcast will be available about 1 day after the event and can be accessed using the same audience link that was sent to you earlier today. I would now like to turn the event over to our moderator, Omdia's Principal Analyst and Contact Leader, Dario Talmazio.
Thank you very much, Becky. Hi, this is Dario Talmazio. I'm Research Director for Service Provider Strategies at Omdia. I will be introducing the topic today, sharing some of our research and insight, and then I will pass it on to the two speakers from ZTE. The topic for today's webinar, just to remind everybody, is Pioneering in 5G SA, Learnings from China's Deployment. So we have two objectives today. We want to learn about the technology and how it will transition from NSA to SA, but probably and most importantly, we want to learn about how 5G SA is implemented in China, and even more importantly, what is done with it. And that will provide key learnings from the entire service provider ecosystem. So I said we have two speakers from ZTE. The first speaker is going to be Jason Tu. Jason is ZTE spokesperson. He has focused on research on telecom industry from the very early days, from TDM, transitioning to IP and cloud, with more than 20 years of experience. Today, Jason is the principal scientist of ZTE NFV SDN solution and one of the main designers of ZTE 2, 3, 4, 5G and fixed core network. And he's now pushing the network telecom operators to evolve into telco cloud and introducing key technologies such as cloud, AI, big data. Jason is not only working for ZTE, he has a long experience, including his contribution to ITU, International Telecommunication Unit. Together with Jason, we have Alex Wong. Alex is Managing Director of 5G RAN Solution at ZTE. In his current role, he's engaged and advising global telecommunication operators on 5G communication system, not only from a point of view of technology, but also from a strategic perspective. Alex experience include working in Singapore for mobile telecom operators, where again has a very long experience, starting from the very early days of SMS and WAP and GPRS, all the way through 5G RAN now. So also Alex has a bag of experience. Alex has a master's degree in Singapore in wireless telecommunication at the National University of Singapore. And thank you both for joining us today. Now, without further ado, let me move on and play a short video, and I hope you can all see it starting now.
I'd like to share with you our 5G standalone solution. 5G is super powerful. It enhances mobile broadband experience to peak data rate of 1 gigabit per second and brings about ultra-high definition 3D video and VR and AR experience. But more importantly, 5G enables massive machine-type communications and ultra-reliable and low-latency communications. The very high network and device density, super low latency at millisecond level or even microsecond level, and other rigid network performance requirements lead to increased demand of 5G standalone solution. With 5G standalone solution, operators can offer unique capabilities such as end-to-end slicing, mobile edge computing, much faster and better than the competitors. Operators can also gain a competitive advantage in vertical market, which is considered to be the most promising area of 5G. For example, industry-grade video solutions, next-generation vehicles and traffic management, and intelligent manufacturing facilities. From operations point of view, 5G standalone solution makes it possible to decouple existing 4G network and upcoming 5G network, minimizing the impact to existing 4G network. Thus, it gives operators much more flexibility in vendor selection. Operators can adopt single vendor strategy, whereby a single vendor supplies all radio network and/or call network to streamline the operations. Or alternatively, operators can adopt a multi-vendor strategy, whereby call network, radio network, or even 4G layer and 5G layer can be from different vendors. This helps operators to select the best of breed solution in each part of the network. And it also shortens the time to market. ZTE's 5G standalone solution is a comprehensive end-to-end solution featuring ultra broadband, high power output, highly integrated design, supporting 2.6 GHz, 3.5 GHz, and a combination of 3.5 GHz and 700 MHz. Also, ZTE's 5G
Hello, it seems that the slide was advanced a bit prematurely. We've now moved on to the core of the topic. We are talking about 5G standalone, and obviously our question here is, what is the attitude and what is the appetite from global mobile operators in terms of deploying 5G SA? In a research that is being carried out by our sister company, Heavy Reading, we find that already 56% of global CSP expect to deploy 5G SA within the next 2 years. And a minority, but it's a sizable minority of them, is already working on it and planning to deploy 5G SA in the next 12 months, meaning that they have started right now. Obviously, we are expecting this year, already now, to see some wide area 5G core network to go live, and those are mainly China and the US. We see scale in this market to start ramping up from 2021, which is in less than 6 months' time, and obviously for a much broader and deeper deployment of it is going to take quite some time for the entire industry to mature into it. Now, an important aspect of SA, or an immediate application of it, is private network, and this is probably some of the areas where we see it being deployed first. Now, in the introduction of this webinar, we said we wanted to learn from China deployments, and there is a reason why our attention is moving on to the Chinese mobile operators at the moment. What we have observed over the past few months is that many countries have slightly reprioritized 5G simply because their regulators maybe have been caught in the crisis and have delayed a little bit the auctions for 5G spectrum. But China is not only an exception to that. China went the opposite direction. China has, in fact, increased the emphasis and the investment in 5G because 5G is seen as a way to get back on track, to get the economy restarted, and to get the industries restarted. So in that, as you can see on my chart, we believe that for this year, the vast majority of 5G adoption is actually going to be in China by the 3 Chinese operators. Let's not forget that the deployment in the country is already quite extensive, with 130,000 5G base stations, and China Mobile, the largest operator in the country, has already moved into phase 2 of deployment with 300,000 5G base station planned for this year alone. But obviously, when we combine China Mobile, China Unicom, and China Telecom, the combined deployment of 5G base station for the 3 companies is exceeding 600,000, which is quite remarkable. And obviously, it's not only about deploying networks. The adoption from at least from the first phase is quite remarkable. There are quite a lot of data points released by China Mobile, but I think I want to pick the most important of all. They're already looking at having a subscription base of 5G that is expected to reach 70 million this year, meaning in the next few months they will reach 70 million scale. And of course, topic of today, China Mobile aims to provide 5G SA in 12 of the most important provinces, meaning that China Mobile will have the largest 5G SA network in the world once the project is completed. Hence, our attention turning into China and trying to learn how Chinese operators are transitioning from NSA to SA, but also what they are going to do with it. And just on that topic, just as a reminder for all of us, what are the benefits of 5G SA for service providers? We often talk about enterprise and industry benefits, and that includes the ability of offering an end-to-end solution for various areas, including manufacturing, including robotics, transportation, healthcare, and you can name many other verticals, most of which are going to benefit from SA. The end-to-end is only one aspect to that. The slicing capabilities is probably the most appetizing part of 5G SA, and also with that the feature of latency that can be given to industrial customers. But obviously, sometimes we forget that 5G SA is not just and not only an industry play. It's not only a B2B play. Of course, that is probably the most important side of the opportunity for service providers in deploying SA, but there is also the eMBB and consumer side of it. Obviously, 5G SA will reduce the connection time, so the time it takes for the connection to be established, and that will result in improved quality of experience for eMBB customers. That includes consumer customers. And obviously, the overall improvement of uplink and downlink will give a much better speed rate and latency. So those are the demand side opportunity from both enterprises and consumer. But overall, from a service provider point of view, the benefits of SA are not limited to to the demand. It's also about how to optimize investment and future-proofing investments and implementing efficiencies in their CapEx allocation. But also it's a way of optimizing and implementing efficiencies internally in terms of being able to automate and rationalize some of their networks. And now we want to know how all of this is done, and especially what are the Chinese operators doing with SA in collaboration with ZTE. And on this point, I'll pass it on to Jason to learn more from him. Jason, stage is yours.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Dario. And okay, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Jason Tu from the ZTE, and the next I'm going to share some information from the China 5G market. Okay. First, I want to show that China nowadays have the world's largest 4G network, and now he is building the largest 5G ones. So you can get some picture. It said how many sites and how many subscribers are going to introduce in the next few years. Okay. Actually, nowadays we can the phase 1 of the 5G project in China actually it began from the last year. The phase 1 is covered the whole year of the last year, so it's focusing on the non-standard arm. It's going to providing some 5G eMBB features to the consumer. So you can see about 140K base station deployed it, and it's about 1/4 about the world total. What I want to emphasize, sorry, and so you can, yeah, okay. So this one. So you can see from the roadmap of the China Mobile and from this year, the expansion of the non-standard arm are still going on, and the yellow is the standard arm. That means from the area that are already deployed a non-standard arm, we are going to introduce standard arm. And for the place that are not introduce 5G coverage, they are going to hop directly to the standard arm from this year. And for the next year, I think the most investment will be directly go to standard arm. So this is for China Mobile. And for the China Telecom and the China Unicom, the investment are more aggressive. So you can see from the place that not deploy 5G, directly go to non-standard arm. And the investment of the non-standard arm, for the 4G, will completely stopped at the next year. So you can see the emphasis of the 5G from the beginning of this year swept to the standard arm solution. Okay. Yes. Well. And so you can see from the picture is that there are very aggressive phase 2 of the China operator to deploy 5G. So we understand 5G go to more frequency. That means the base station need to be more density compared to 4G. So you can see they have aggressive 5G deploy solution, especially after the COVID-19, and the regulator regarded 5G network as one of the key engine to boost the GDP, and they believe the technology of the 5G investment will boost the whole, digital transformation from the vertical industry. So that is mean they are very emphasize the whole technology about the telecommunication network. Okay. Let's come to this one. And I think the picture is showing about the handset. The handset you can see from the market. So nowadays we have a plenty of the choice about the dual mode handset, especially from the market. At good news that it will be very difficult in China market to buy only non-standalone mode handset from the market. Actually, most of the handset is a dual mode. So you can see from the handset level, it's natural. So of course, from the system level, I mean the system network, RAN, the core networks is already ready for the dual mode. So from the technical, I mean from the ecosystem of the standalone, it's completely natural nowadays. So I got information from the market. Almost half of the handsets sold in the retail market are now dual mode 5G handsets nowadays. Next, we can go to some roadmap about how the three operators deployed their standalone network from the last year. So we can see from the roadmap, the three kind operator deploy have their standalone trial from the field to the lab and have a lot of tests in the lab. And most of the three operators have the network almost ready at the middle of this year. And they are going to launch commercially the standalone network sometime in the Q3 this year. And of course, it will be decided by the operator itself. Okay, let's come to the next picture about the China Mobile operator. Actually, the China Mobile has already set up their unified cloud-native platform for both virtualized EPC and 5GC as well. Of course, you can see from the picture, they divided their virtualized 5GC into two independent logic 5GC. One is to the consumer, the other is to the vertical industry. So you can see ZTE take almost 35 market share of the whole country. So you can see from the map, some of the premises we got 2B tender, and some of the light blue we have a 2C and a 2B 5GC as well. They are both standalone and on a unified cloud platform. So ZTE take a leader and output from in China Mobile 5G test, and we have already passed more than 3,000 items, including function, performance, and network management, slicing, security, and IoT, blah, 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 something. So you can see from the China Mobile perspective, almost all the aspects from the technical end-to-end of the standalone network is technical mature. It's already ready. I think this picture, let's come to the next one. So I think the next picture is show more about the platform. So you can see from the picture, the left is the virtual EPC, I mean, for the non-standalone. And on the same cloud platform, we have a logical independent 5GC to retail consumer, I mean for the EMBB scenario. And also we have an independent 5GC logically to the vertical industry, I mean 2B. So in this case, unified cloud platform, we have a 3 logical independent core network, you can see. And from ZTE perspective, we can provide in China Mobile what we call a common core. Actually, common core is kind of virtualized core network, could be configured as virtualized EPC, and it also could be configured as 5GCs for the retail consumer, and of course it could be configured as 5GC to the vertical industry. So in this case, a common core is a wonderful solution for the operator like China Mobile to deploy for different scenarios. And the common core, because it's a unified virtualized core network, actually it's kind of software. It could be easier for the operator in the future to migration. So you can see from the picture, the virtualized EPC could be easily migration to any of the virtual 5GC, no matter it's 2B or 2C, just by software update and license update, okay? And let's come to next one. It's talking about China Telecom. So in China Telecom, we also take almost 45 market share of the whole country. So, and for the 2B market, and China Telecom also divided their virtualized 5GC as 2B and 2C, which is for the retail consumer, and to the vertical industry. For the market share from ZTE, we take almost half of the 2B 5GC market share as well. So you can see it's similar, but we do have something different. So let's come to some detailed information about the picture. So you can see from the China Telecom, of course, the 5GC for business, for vertical industry, and for the retail consumer are running on the same cloud platform. And some of the elements, I mean, on the yellow box, could be on-demand shared. And other elements, it could be virtualized on the cloud platform, but logically are independent, because in some vertical industry, we need some guarantee of the performance, for example, the bandwidth, latency, or reliability. In this case, the function, I mean, even it's virtualized on the cloud platform, it should be logically independent from those elements, which is only for the best effort retail consumer. Okay, because they have a different charging policy. Okay, so in this case, you can see 5GC, as Dario said at the very beginning, one of the most interesting things about cloud native 5GC is they are going to providing some advantage feature, for example, end-to-end QoS, network slicing. They are especially for the vertical industry. So in this case, so even we are physically it's a cloud, it's a core network running on the data center, but logically they could be independent completely, and sometimes it could be shared for some economic reason. Okay, so yes, I think the picture showing that. Okay, let's come to what China Unicom has done. So you can see for the China Unicom, and we take almost 1/3 of the market share for the whole standalone core network, and also it's deployed as well. So I do not talk too much about that. And let's come to the next slide. Okay. So the picture shows the most advantage about standalone compared to the non-standalone. As we can see, standalone could providing some, for example, network slicing, service-based architecture. Okay, it's actually service-based architecture is a 3GPP defined cloud-native function that it makes all elements could be running on the container base. They could be more flexible and more elastic. And also we are standalone could support Mac, mobile edge computing as well. And okay. Okay, so we're coming to know, so 5G standalone do have some advantage for the technology, but how can the 5G standalone solution get some profits for the operators? Because, you know, if you want to invest standalone, you need to invest more money compared to the non-standalone in the very beginning of the 5G. So for the non-standalone, you need to invest money for the hotspot to get some eMBB features. But for the standalone, you need almost coverage and something like this. I think the picture shows the new business model. As we can see, the 5G standalone solution can providing better features. For example, latency, mobile edge computing, and even network slicing. And all these features is very difficult to filled by the retail consumer because they are just messaging, chatting, or watching some videos. But all, those advantage features which is providing by 5G standalone solution is very useful for the vertical industry as well. So in this case, the business model, the operator can not only sell the traffic package directly to the retail consumer, but also they can have a new revenue source. They can selling, for example, network slicing to the vertical industry, to providing some mobile virtual private network to some typical vertical industry. So in this case, 5G standalone together with the network slicing can bring a new, business revenue source for the operator. Okay, I think the picture gives some three typical network slicing modes. So the first one is a completely soft mode because as we understand, cloud native 5GC based on standalone can providing network slicing virtualizedly. It's a logical independence. Okay. Second is the software and the hardware. In this case, in some typical element, for example, user profile. The function is for the packet forwarding. So in this case, for some typical application, we can using some special function independently from the other slicing. Okay, so that can guarantee better performance. And for the third one, we can also set up a physical independent 5G network, especially for some high-level, high security requirements and high reliability requirements purpose, for example, vertical industries. So I list some, for example, mine. Okay, and so in this case, and that get some detailed information about the first one. I think the first one is talking about the video game, e-games. So nowadays, e-games are very popular, also profitable. People are experiencing some e-games on the internet. But the question is, nowadays, the network of the 4G is what we call the best effort. So in this case, you can, experience some latency, bandwidth, but not guaranteed. But if we introduce the the first type of slice, the software-based network slicing, so we can put some of the user together with the server in some network slicing. And in the slicing, we can guarantee the bandwidth or even the latency of the slice. Okay, so in this case, the player can enjoy better connection compared to the player not join, not in the best effort network. So the business model is that if the player can pay some money to the e-game service provider, so the e-game service provider will ask the operator to put the player into a service level guaranteed network slicing, so the player can experience better compared to the player on the best effort internet. So in this case, the game service provider need to buy a network slicing from the operator and charge the end player totally. So in this case, the end player only pay money directly once to the game service provider, and the game service provider and pay money to buy a network slicing to the operator. That is the business model, what we call B2B2C, all right, in this case. So this is for the pure software network slicing application. Actually, we do deploy this technology and together with the business model with the Tencent, and the Tencent, you know, is one of the biggest player service provider in China, and and we do provide a much better experience compared to the normal 4G network. Well, let's come to the second one. So this is on the Tianjin port. I think the Tianjin port is one of the biggest port in the world. They have a lot of ship and container loading and unloading all the days. And normally, I mean, the worker need to sit on the crane to load the container and unload the container. So it's difficult, okay, because your own crane is high and some bad, terrible weather will be difficult. But nowadays, with the introduce of 5G, so we introduce a lot of high definition camera on the crane, and we do have a remote control of the crane, which is in the office, which is 1 mile away from the port. So in this case, the worker which is used to control the crane, which like a blue column, nowadays they are just white column because they are just sitting in the office with air condition and control, looking to the screen and make some control. So I think the working condition is much better, and it's avoid a lot of dangerous situations which they are used to face too. So in this case, because you know we need to guarantee the latency because it's a real-time control, and we do have a lot of high definition camera on the crane. So a lot of definition video stream need to transfer from the port to the office. So in this case, we introduce a Mac, and we do compare to the video game with more critical and need more reliability and more security. We introduce a logical independent UPF, okay, so to guarantee the SLA. So in this case, of course, some of the control elements will be shared, but the UPF, I mean, for the user plan is logical independent and just locate in the port. So in this case, all the high definition video streams will not loop from the city and back to the port. So in this case, we save a lot of bandwidth of the transmission. Well, okay, so let's come to the last one, which is the most critical one, the mine. Okay, so this is example which are deployed in China. So on the mine, we need the situation is much more critical. So we need some reliability because it's dangerous. A lot of huge machines, and also the so in this case, we set up a completely logical independent network slicing for this mire. So in this case, even all the element is on the factory, I mean on the mine itself. Even the connection from the cloud will be cut down, and the logical independent network slicing could also working. Okay, so in this case, this is a third type of the slice, which is more facing more critical, and of course is more expensive. So I think the mine need to pay much more money compared to the two network slicing to the operators. Okay. Okay, I think that is almost for my time. Okay, let's come to the takeaway. Okay. Well, I think nowadays the standalone 5G standalone ecosystem is mature enough. We do have a lot of handset on the market, and I think the large deployment of the China operator has already approved the end-to-end solution of the standalone network is mature enough, and also standalone gets more economy compared to the non-standalone. It's of course standalone is kind of a target architecture of the 5G, and it will be more economy nowadays. And of course, and standalone is more device deployment scenarios for vertical industry, and vertical industry can working as a new revenue resource for the operator. I mean, so if the operator have the standalone network, so they can direct can selling the network slicing as the mobile virtual private network to the factory, I mean to the hospital, and even to the school. So there will be a new revenue resource. And also, as I mentioned, 2B business model is maturing faster. So it hopes to be a new increase point from the operator. Okay, I think that's all for my slides. Dario?
Jason, thank you very much for your contribution. We are now moving into a Q&A session of the webinar. I just use this as a reminder for everybody who's listening now to submit your questions. I've seen that there are already 5 or 6 questions being submitted by the audience, but if you have any additional one, please submit it now. And let me start with the first one, and I think this is probably for Alex. Obviously, I introduced Alex earlier on as not only a technology expert, but also a strategist who is helping service providers around the world in deploying their networks. And this question is specifically about that. So, Alex, as we know, China has the largest standalone deployment in the world. And maybe we would like to know from you if you have any experience that you can share about the Chinese deployment so far.
Okay, sure. Dario, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Thank you, Alex.
Okay, great. I think first, yeah, as you said, China has the largest 5G footprint in the world, especially for standalone. And China Mobile basically is using 2.6 gigahertz for the primary 5G standalone network. And China Unicom and China Telecom are network sharing their 3.5 gigahertz standalone network. And that makes things quite complicated because then our equipment have to
cater to different operators' frequency requirements on 5G. And also at the same time, for 4G, you still have to support them, whether it's a non-standalone or it's a 4G network itself. For example, 1.8 gigahertz and 2.1 gigahertz. And that makes the whole network very complicated, not to mention 2G and 3G are still existing in some parts of the country. So end of day, you need to take care of the performance of the network, coverage, and also capacity. So what we're doing, instead of not only the traditional massive MIMO, like 64 TR, 32 TR, we also developed the FAST, we call it FDD assisted super TDD solution. So we use it for China Telecom. Basically, it's kind of converging the 2.1 gigahertz FDD with the 3.5 TDD new radio. So that definitely gives you a much better coverage of the uplink, which is always a very big challenge for 5G rollout. And also at the same time, because of this leading edge technology, we are able to provide actual capacity for both downlink and uplink, and at the same time reduce the network latency. So this is one of the achievements for our challenge and also our answer to that. And also for 5G, because it's not only eMBB, it also caters to many, many more vertical market applications. So we have to take care of, like a mobile edge computing, or we call it multiple access edge computing, as well as network slicing, which Jason has mentioned earlier, and also the virtualization of the core network and certain part of radio, and also network sharing between China Telecom and Unicom. And all these are really very big challenges, and we cater to all these, managing to launch the services earlier this year and all the way toward end of the year. And finally, there's another challenge, as Jason mentioned, the B2B market, the vertical market is very important. So instead of not only working with mobile operators, we also work with the industries. For example, we have signed over 300 partnerships with 15 industry sectors, including like digital education, medical market, port and logistics, transportation, for example, the high-speed train in China, and also the airlines in China, as well as environmental protection solutions. So all these are very important, because end of the day, the B2B market, the vertical market, will be really the revenue, the actual revenue for operators, as well as end of the day for the whole industry. For example, in Tianjin, we use the 5G standalone network to build the very automated and intelligent digital port. So basically that reduces the overhead of the human being intervention of a lot of activities at port. And also because in the port, all the cars, all the cargoes and freighters, everything are moving. So these 5G solutions definitely cater to the real needs of the particular industry. So all these are all the challenges from strategy perspective, as well as the technology and business. So we managed so far, and definitely we're looking forward to the next success in the second half of the year. Dario, hope I answered this question to you.
I think you have, Alex. Thank you very much. I'm monitoring the queue, and I can see as you are talking, the questions are literally exploding. I think there's one about spectrum that you have already answered. And I move back into Jason. There is one specifically. Jason, you introduced 3 categories of slices. So you talked about soft slices and hard slicing and the hybrid between the two. And the question is about soft slicing instead of hard slicing. Is it soft slicing suitable for factories since soft slicing is also capable of supporting QoS?
Yes, I think in most of the time, the software-based slicing can provide almost a similar QoS to the hardware-based slicing. I mean, in the what are we talking about? The hard slicing is that in some particularly key elements, such as UPS, we can have independent physical UPF, especially for this factory. Because, of course, we can have a virtualized UPF, which is on the cloud, dedicated for this factory. So for the most of time, so it's good. But in some typical times, if we do have some congress from the other slice, so I think the hardware-based slice is more reliable compared to the software-based slice. So in this case, we still recommend the factory, or if the factory needs low latency and need a special, a special level of the security, and also we still recommend the factory using the hardware-based slicing because, if you have an independent hardware-based UPF, just locate in your factory. So all the traffic will not go loop to the cloud, then back to your factory. And it could be guaranteed the latency because the information will not transmission to the cloud, then back to your factory. And I believe for those factory scenario, most of the information could be running inside the factory. So in this case, mobile edge computing based, on the hardware based network slicing is a better choice. But of course, you need to pay more money to the operator to this hardware. Yes, please, Dario.
Thank you very much, Jason. I don't know if you noticed, but my line dropped, so I had to dial in again. But I was following you online. Now, the next question, I hope you didn't address it already. It's about developing countries. So this question is specifically about the role of 5G for those operators. This question is from an Asian operator in a developing country, and essentially is asking, does it make sense to invest in 5G SA rather than doing transition to NSA first, given that they are still looking into the deployment? So if an operator is deploying 5G now for the first time, should they go straight away into SA?
Yes, I think it's a good idea because 5G standalone is the target 5G architecture. Okay, I think nowadays, because I have just mentioned, the China market, operator has already proved the whole ecosystem, including the 5G terminal, is now mature enough. For the standalone, it's mature enough and economy enough. So for the operator, which is now not enter 5G market, so I think it's also a good choice for them to directly hop into the 5G standalone at the very beginning.
Okay, thank you. And and the next question is for Alex. Alex, you mentioned that you have experience around the world in terms of helping service providers deploying 5G. And the question is, besides China Mobile, China Telecom, and China Unicom, can you share any experience of other deployment of standalone?
Sure, Dario. I think I will try to combine this question and complementing Jason just now said regarding the developing countries. For example, as we may know, Thailand, right? Thailand is basically, I think, is more like a between the emerging market and developed market, this country, right? So Thailand has a very adamant determination to launch a standalone network in their country. The leading operators there, like AIS and True. So that basically justify from technology point of view, maturity of the whole industry value chain and cost point of view, the standalone is a very good choice, even for developing countries. Thailand is a very good example. And definitely we are there helping the leading operators to launch the 5G standalone network. And coming back to other markets, for example, the more advanced markets like Europe. In Europe, we have been engaged with countries like Spain, Orange Spain, we had the largest standalone trial in Europe. That was back 2 years ago. And also in Austria, we have tested the end-to-end network slicing store with Hutchinson, Austria. And also in Belgium, we're working with Orange Group on the vertical market, basically in the city of Antwerp, which basically is a port city of Belgium. And also coming back to Eurasia, like Belarus, as well as in Indonesia, another emerging market. So we also developed the different solutions for their warehousing solutions as well as multiple industries. So all these definitely justify the needs of the operators, not only in developed markets as well as in actually in developing markets. But I think end of the day, it's the individual operator's choice, basically balancing and combining their business needs and as well as the technology evolution. So end of the day, we support standalone for sure, but also we have a hybrid non-standalone plus a standalone solution to cater to those operators that they may choose non-standalone as step one and migrating to standalone later. So definitely we have these comprehensive solutions to cater to their needs. Thank you, Dario.
Thank you, Alex. And there is a follow-up question on some of what you mentioned, and it comes from someone who's got a bag of experience in 5G. Obviously, I cannot name people, but it's a very straightforward question. Is what commercial 5G slicing application do you think will be adopted first in the market? And I guess on this one, you might say, well, whatever our client wants us to deploy first, we will do it. But maybe from your experience and from your understanding and of the market, both Jason and Alex, what do you think are going to be, which commercial 5G slices applications will be deployed first? It's a bit of a guess, okay. I think, but your views.
Yeah, okay. So according to our experience, because in China we do have a lot of cooperation with the vertical industry to introduce 5G standalone, together with the network slicing to their industry. As I know from the slides, you can see one of the interesting cases is about e-games. So, e-games, because the e-game need providing, high definition videos, and also in order to make the player more agility, they need no latency. I think it's also one of the, which is we already cooperation, as I mentioned, with Tencent about this 4K live video games using network slicing together with the Mac to providing better experience. The 4K videos, screens, also with a more agility response to the players. So for this case, the player even do not know what is network slicing, what is the low latency. I think it's difficult to the teenager to understand what is latency, what of the network, what is bandwidth, but they only want to experience the high definition video and also agility of the control. So I think it's also a good choice. And we also cooperation, according to ZTE experience, with some video service providers, because nowadays the video service provider is also popular for the whole world. But the question is that you need to pay money directly to the video service provider, and sometimes you cannot experience a better service quality because all the video streams need to go on a best effort network. So in this case, when you are experience a terrible video streams, if you go to the service, the video service provider, he will say, okay, my source is good, but the network is not bad. It's best effort. If you go to the operator, you said, okay, my pipe is best ever. I think it's a problem. So what we can providing network slicing to the video service provider, that is mean the video service provider, in order to provide a better user experience, they are buying network slicing to the operator. And for this customer who pay more money or VIP or something, they can put into a special network slicing which can guarantee the SLA, I mean the bandwidth, to the terminal from end to end. So in this case, this is also very interesting business model. Also B2B2C, I mean the users only pay money to the video service providers, and the video service provider buy network slicing from the operator. So, but the video service provider has the responsibility to guarantee the end-to-end user experience. So I think that this is also a case. Another case, as I mentioned, is the factory. So you know the factory nowadays, especially on some remote scenario, they need some low latency for control, for remote control, as I mentioned, in the Tianjin port. So in this case, this is also very interesting scenario, which is a potential scenario which will first introduce to the market.
Thank you, Jason. Thank you very much. Thank you, Jason. I hope you can hear me. We are running out of time, but thank you for your extensive answer. Before I leave you, I want to thank Alex and Jason for sharing their views, experience, and learnings from China. And I guess there will be more to come as SA is extensively deployed. Just a couple of reminders. I have plenty of questions that we have not been able to answer. You will be contacted directly, and we will provide a direct answer to your questions. In the meantime, we have a survey running for your feedback about the webinar today. We do appreciate your feedback, so please, if you have a minute or so, submit it. There is a question that is directly about Omdia and Omdia collaboration between with ZTE. Omdia is the largest telecom research company in the world. We provide advisory services and we provide market research. We monitor the market and we supply technology vendors and service providers with our intelligence. So that, I hope that explains. But we're running out of time. I want to thank you again very much for listening to us today, and looking forward to having you in our next webinar. Thank you all.
Thank you, Dario, and all.